I'm good? Okay. Woo. Okay. So I wanted to start. I have not had to do this in front of people in a very long time, so please bear with me. Okay, so this is a mouthful from exhaustion. People have asked me what I'm talking about, and I have trouble remembering the title. So where did the title come from? Anybody guess? AI. Put in, and I was an anti-AI person as an HR person, and everything everybody said here about people and losing the people side. So I've started using it, and it is helpful. So agenda, you guys have all this. We'll talk a little bit about tech for well-being, process improvement, reducing burnout, the reset that's needed, and then we'll talk about the takeaways. So this is me. Who am I? 25 years in HR. All of these things here, and I wanted to talk a little bit about authenticity, and we've been talking about that all day. And all of these things about me you can find in my LinkedIn profile. But one of them I've had to hide from my HR jobs during interviews because it wouldn't be accepted. Anybody guess? Can I have water? Thank you. Anybody guess which one? Disability would be the obvious one, right? And I did, so I suffer from depression. I'm gonna shake while I'm drinking the water, okay? Okay, awesome. Thank you. Okay, so I did actually hide that one, not intentionally hiding it. It was just something I managed myself, and it wasn't something we talked about in work. And then when the pandemic started, it was something I was a little bit more vocal about because I wanted to help other people understand that they had other people, depression, anxiety, very lonely things to be involved in. So that's not it. I will actually tell that to someone in an interview to make sure that they're okay with the fact that I'm okay, that I suffer from depression, and I'm going to talk to you about it. Anything else? Yeah. No. I don't typically call it that. During interviews, I struggle with not having had good relationships with my managers. So even in spite of that, I've still been a high performer. And can anyone relate to that? You haven't really fully been engaged, but you're a high performer. Anybody else? It's up there.
You actually don't like
I
HR?
don't. No, actually it's my award-winning entrepreneur. So I'm going to talk about, on the agenda was reset. And I think HR needs a reset, corporate organizations need a reset. I had a reset back in 2010. So severe depression, lost my job over politics, and somebody was talking about Oprah a little earlier. I became an entrepreneur. And in, honestly, sometimes corporate world, HR and entrepreneur don't go together. They don't like that. You're an individual thinker. You're not going to be a team player, all of that. So it wasn't even just that I was an entrepreneur, it was what I did. So I saw that episode of Oprah, and if Oprah says something, then it's safe to do. So 6 months after I lost my job, I opened a sex shop. And everyone in my office was like, good Lord, Dawn, HR to sex shop. And the more and the longer I spent 4 years, and the question, it's not open anymore, so don't ask that. So the question became, why am I so comfortable in this environment talking about intimacy and people's relationships? Because I had come from HR, where all we talk about is everything that people don't want to talk about. Right? We talk about their performance, we talk about their compensation, we talk about wellness, we talk about retirement. And then I shifted to the store and started talking to people about intimacy and relationships. So it was a complete nice transition, but then after 4 years when I closed the store and went back to HR, I had to pretend like I'd never had the store. And so with that, they never got the authentic me. They never got the creative me, because again, I'm a total rewards leader. Creativity is not on the agenda for our job description. Analytics is top of that. And so I'm not always as analytical as everybody would like me to be, so they're missing out. Okay, so let's talk about tech. Who has a smartwatch? And if anybody has a Fitbit charger, mine died, and I'm a little upset right now. Okay, so we're all tracking, right? What are we tracking? What are we tracking from a wellness perspective? What are we tracking, just on a day-to-day basis? Sleep, yep. Steps. 24,000 steps on Sunday walking around Toronto. I think that might be my record. Anybody else? Okay, so all of those are great. We track stress. We track weight. We track what we ate. We track how much hydration we've gotten in the day. And where has that gotten us? What are we spending right now on corporate wellness, well-being, however you take it? Anybody have a guess what we're spending globally? We always think that we're not, somebody who was not part of HR was like, $3 million. I'm like, no, it's the opposite. The opposite. We're spending so much. This takes a little, there we go. $61 billion we are spending on corporate wellness. Have you heard any titles on any news organization that says people are jumping down, up and down, they're happy, they're grateful, they are everything except depressed, stressed, not loving their jobs, quiet quitting? I like quiet vacationing. That was a new one that I heard a couple weeks ago. So when we look at and these are just like some that I pulled very easily. So 94% of adults are reporting feeling stressed. We know this. Everybody in this room knows this. Obesity has doubled in adults, quadrupled in adolescents since 1990. We all have wellness programs. We all have programs that have steps. We all have dietitians. So if you bring in a dietitian, and they're going to tell you what you should or shouldn't eat. So I brought dietitians into my organization a few years ago. And as you can tell, I'm pretty honest about what's going on with me. So they get a little TMI. And when I first met with them, they're like, okay, well, what do you want to do? And I said, I want to do very little because I will only do very little. But I'm a closet emotional eater. And they were like, Dawn, no one's ever told us that before. And so we worked with that, and we changed my diet, and I got off of sugary yogurt and got on to Oikos, if you guys have that up here. But most of us don't tell that to anybody, right? Because we're trying to act like everything's okay, we're perfect, we don't really need the dietitian, but if you have some information, we'll take it. Only 24% of adults are meeting the CDC target movements, and it's not very high. And so this is kind of compounding, right? Because we're working from home, we're not moving as much if we're hybrid. Less than half of us are hydrated. I'm feeling very dehydrated right now. And then 30% less sleep from 50 years ago. So when you look at sleep, they've done a lot of studies, and 2 hours of sleep that you miss a night, you think the next day you're fine, right? You're a little tired, but you're okay. Think of your new parent in the office. They have a new baby, and they're missing several hours of sleep a night. 2 weeks of 2 hours of missed sleep, you have the same reaction time, the same skill level as someone who has not slept in 3 days. We don't allow for that in the corporate world. We don't allow for the space of that in the corporate world. So I have human versus AI in my title, and where I see the AI piece, the tech piece within human resources and wellness is within the HR of what we do day to day and the tasks that we do and the questions that people ask us continually. They don't know where this is. They don't know how to do that. Those are the questions that I think AI can jump right in, and we've seen it here today with the presentations that people have done. So leveraging that process improvement. Who here can think of a process in their organization that sucks the life out of their people? You know what it is. Anybody? Yeah. Yes, expenses, yes. Sometimes it's payroll. I worked at a place where we had our hourly employees documenting their time off in 3 different systems, and like nobody in leadership knew that they were doing it because they just always did it. So if you're changing, we talk about not needing a budget for engagement and wellness, because if you just make my life a little easier, if you just make it easier for me to do my job at work, I'm going to be happier. I'm going to be healthier. So leveraging process improvement, whatever it is, it's typically HR, it's IT, expense report is a great one because everybody has those, right? So for me, the future of HR is in the strategy piece, and it's bringing HR into that first conversation about the people and having that embedded in your base strategy to the organization, not an afterthought, not an extra department. That was more for me, embracing the future, sorry. Okay, so how do we reduce burnout? And I'm gonna make this very simple, and we got some great options earlier in the day. So we have 350,000 apps for wellness that we can tap into. And I don't think that most people feel more well because of that. I have an app on my phone that can teach me how to do a handstand in 30 days. I was a gymnast, and I've always wanted to do a handstand again. And I've never done anything with it. And my phone continually tells me it's an app that's not been used, and do you want to take it off? And I'm like, no. When we look at screen time, we all know this, right? So 73% of people believe their use of electronic devices has contributed to their stress. I like the 81% who have to say, excuse me, what did you say? Because I was on my phone and I didn't hear what you said. And make it my start it again. Okay, thank you. So 3 out of 5 of us spend more time on electronics than we do with our significant other. And we talked, I think you were the one this morning, about how many hours we spend at work. 90-some thousand hours, which is incomprehensible. So what if I told you that reducing burnout, was really easy? We could do it, and we probably all know all 3 of these options, okay? The first one, trees. Okay? We know that when we're around trees, when we look at trees, we become more calm, we less stress, blood pressure, pulse, all of that goes down. We become more calm. But we've done research that shows that the sympathetic part of the nervous system and the sympathetic and the asympathetic are totally not in our control. So the sympathetic is the one that anybody who's been up here is experiencing, sweating and whatever else I'm doing, right? No saliva in my mouth. But the asympathetic gets actionated when we look at trees. So, and it's not just being in a forest looking at a tree. You can look at a picture of a tree. You can look at a tree on your computer. So there's a way to, again, no budget, you don't need it. You don't even need to tell people that you're trying to calm them down. You can put trees up as pictures in the office, tree on a background on your computer. All of those things just automatically make you calmer, reduce your stress, reduce your pulse and everything. So second, micro breaks. Everybody's heard of micro breaks? No? Yes, no? Okay. So micro breaks is the fact that I need 2 to 10 minutes to recover from whatever just happened in that meeting that took 50 minutes. Okay? And if you give me that micro break, I can go back and I can work and I can go to my next meeting. You don't give me that micro break, I'm taking whatever happened in that last meeting and I'm bringing it with me to the next meeting. So micro breaks are 2 to 10 minutes. It's breathing, it's getting up, it's walking around, it's going and talking to someone else. So that camaraderie that we miss in the office, it's going and petting your dog if you're at home. And the last one is the disconnection from work. So disconnection from work has 2 pieces for me. It has the day-to-day, and I don't know about you, but I am awful at disconnecting. Became worse when we had the pandemic, and had leaders that did not walk the talk. So it is very difficult to disconnect when you have a leader who's reaching out to you at 8 o'clock, right? Please, Dawn, relax, whatever, but if I message you at 8 o'clock, I'm gonna need that right away. So disconnecting starts from the top with leadership, and it is that walking the talk. And vacations. We don't use enough vacation in the US. Canadians, you guys don't either. So I had a friend who was a non-HR person, and he was very excited because his company was launching unlimited PTO. I was like, oh, that's great. He was so excited. I'm like, you know that you're actually going to take less time off now. He's like, what? Like, that's one reason we do it. You're going to actually take less time off because you don't have that bucket that you have the 20 days, the 15 days you need to use. So typically we use less time. Okay, so this is my reset when I work with organizations to, again, I had my reset. I've had a couple resets. I'm sure you guys have had too. But HR needs a reset and organizations need a reset. So when we talk about the R of the reset, it's relationships. So we talk about engagement and we talk about wellness. And most of us know that that manager-employee relationship is the most important, impactful, and powerful one in our entire lives. Not spouses, not therapists, yet we don't give managers the tools to be able to handle that. And we don't usually see whether people even like each other. Has anybody managed someone they didn't like or been managed by someone that they didn't like? Yeah. So it's very, very difficult to engage somebody when you get them all excited about whatever it is and they go back and they're with their manager day in, day out. That is their kind of life. So when we talk about envision, we're talking about growing personally and professionally. So you're getting the whole person in the door. You know, and I've seen a lot more of this, which makes me happy. The person is not stopping at the door and leaving all of their personal life there and then picking it up at 5 o'clock when they go back out the door, right? We've had that expectation from people and it's not healthy. So when we envision, why can't we also envision not just their professional life, but their personal life and support both of them to make the healthier, happier employee who is then more productive and efficient for you. When we talk about support, we're talking about, so I'm a total rewards leader, and we talk about compensation, we talk about benefits, we talk about interesting benefits, we talk about PTO. I don't really care about that anymore because I've been working at places where they paid me a lot and we had really good benefits, but nobody told me how I was going to feel after I started working there. How do you want me to feel? Is it giving me the elevate part of this is the vision and the mission and the values. So I've spent a lot of time also at organizations who spend a lot of time creating and a lot of energy and money creating values, mission, and values, mission, goals. And let's go back to the first R for relationships. If you tell me your values up here for the organization, your goals, your mission, that's awesome. If my manager doesn't know that and doesn't live that, I'm living my manager's vision, mission, and goals. So the last part here is the trust, and that's around communication. So figuring out how to communicate from top to bottom, from bottom to top, where it actually goes and reaches the bottom. Did anyone play telephone when they were little? Probably aging myself. So one person says one thing, and 10 people later it turns into some hilarious thing. Well, that's what happens in most of our organizations. The organization at the top says something, leadership says something, and then everybody kind of adds their flavor to it. So it's either a new comment, a tone of voice, something that takes away some of the power of that piece. Okay, so leveraging process improvement. Make your people's lives easier. Make it easier for them to do their work. Reducing burnout, trees, micro breaks, and PTO or time off. Techniques for engaging your employees absent a specific budget is pretty much everything I talked about. We don't need a budget for most of these things. So if you don't have a budget for engagement, reward, and recognition, you can still impact people's happiness and well-being. We didn't even talk about this. The singular benefit essential for employee well-being, for me, is our mental health. If you just have a medical plan and you just have an EAP, you're not doing enough. It's not enough. I speak from experience, and I think when we look at everything, before we get to being physically healthy, again, TMI on my emotional eating and closet eating, we had to get to my mental health before we got to my physical health. Okay, that's it for me. I have a book coming out in a few months around employee engagement, so you'll see a lot of this stuff in there. And love to connect on LinkedIn.
Thank you so much, Don.